The Turing machine was a turning point in history because it was the first mechanical computer. This discovery led to today's computers, smartwatches, and iPhones. Alan Turing was born in 1912 and attended King's College. When he was a baby, his parents left him and his brother with a retired couple. His parents returned to India because his father was in the Indian Civil Service. He came across Albert Einstein's work. He understood and even elaborated on some of his theories. In 1936, Alan Turing was proposed a question at a talk he attended by Max Newman. Newman said, "Is there one equation that can solve every problem? Would that work? Is that possible? Could it solve the most complicated problem in the world and the simplest?" Before we continue, it's important to note that computers at this time could already do simple addition and subtraction. What they couldn't do is make a decision, such as tell you whether a number is even or odd. When researching the topic, he had the idea to break down the steps of how people solve math problems. He thought humans can read, they can follow a set of instructions, and they can write. So all you need a machine to do is read, write, and move. Turing discovered that all you had to do was make a set of instructions that only had the machine read, write, or move. That one machine could solve any problem. It took him about a year, but in 1936, Alan Turing published a paper to the London Mathematical Society. The paper was named Uncomputable Numbers with an Application to the Entscheidungs Problem. The paper was half an explanation of the math behind the machine, and the other half was the first computer program ever made. Whilst the great machine was acknowledged, it was only theoretical. There was no actual mechanical machine, and no one really knew how to make it work. Around the start of World War II, Turing applied to work at Bletchley Park. It was a mailing company, but it was secretly a British code-breaking center. At the time, the Germans were using a code called the Enigma code. It was believed to be unbreakable as it had this many different ways to scribble the message. This meant that when the British intercepted messages, it was unreadable and pretty much gibberish. The only way to decipher it was to know the encryption used by the Germans. Alan Turing was assigned to work with a team that's goal was to crack the code. Every day messages were being intercepted, but it was all gibberish. Alan and his team had to decode the message. Once one message was decoded, they could decode all of them. So every single day, everyone on the team was trying to figure out what the encryption of that day was. This went on for a couple of months with no luck. One day, two Polish scientists gave the team a working Enigma machine. The Enigma machine was a machine that would take in a message and scramble all the letters up. Then it would send the message out, and another Enigma machine would intercept the message. This Enigma machine would then decipher the message and then tell you what the message was. Sadly, this was not much help. To use the machine, you needed special encryptions and programs to set the machine's settings to. This would help it decipher and encrypt the messages. Without this, they can never use the machine. But this whole time, Alan Turing was working by himself and not working with the rest of the group. This was because he was building the blueprints for a machine that would figure out the code within a few hours. Many doubted him, and he was even removed from the project after spending too much time and money on the machine. But he was so committed that he sent a letter to Winston Churchill asking to be permitted to continue working on the project. Winston Churchill, being a higher up to the officer that removed him from the project, he was allowed to continue the project. Eventually, Turing finished the machine. The machine was named Bombay, after the Polish word cipher bomb. The machine was successful. It was able to encrypt the code. That would take a human years, but the machine could do it within a matter of hours. This bomb that Alan Turing invented and built may very well have been the reason that World War II was won. All of the messages the Germans were sending back and forth could be intercepted. Every location of U-boats, every plane attack, all their base locations, everything was discovered. This was such a powerful weapon that it was kept a secret until 1996. After the success of the Bombay machine, the Pentagon realized just how valuable it could be. They started researching and building their own machines and computers. Betty Webb was a woman that worked at Bletchley Park during the war. After the war was over, she worked at the Pentagon and helped with research. In an interview, she said that she got to work on decoder machines, and she discovered some of the main decoding methods used today. But these computers were only used by the government. The first practical use computer was called the UNIVAC. It was sold to companies that dealt with lots of math. But the revolutionary thing about this one computer is that it wouldn't just do the math for you. Computers could already do that. It would compare the results and then make the best decision based off of the information. This was mostly used for companies that had to make quick financial decisions. Let's get back to Alan Turing. After he built the Bombay machine, he continued his research for a bit and theorized on computers thinking like humans. He went so far as to make a test called the Turing test to determine whether or not something was a computer or a human. The test is still used to this day to determine whether something is AI or not. But it didn't end so happily for Alan Turing, as he was discovered to be homosexual, which at the time was illegal. He was made to take pills that would cure him of being gay. He couldn't think or do math or anything. It drove him so mad and depressed that he ate an apple that he had poisoned with cyanide. He died June 7th, 1954. He never got to see the full length of his success. After Alan Turing's amazing discoveries and work, he was given the title the father of computing. Not only did he create the fields of computing and artificial intelligence, or AI, he also single-handedly changed the course of World War II for the good.